Hey guys, it's Miss Adams again. We're continuing on with Unit 6B test review. Problem 21. It says convert to vertex form by completing the square. Then solve to determine the solutions, roots, and the x-intercepts. So first off, we have this equation in standard form. With standard form, we can find our y-intercept. So your c value of your standard form is going to be your y-intercept. If I scroll to the bottom here, it asks for the y-intercept. And in this case, for this problem, our y-intercept is 0, 5. So if you would like to at this point, since it's in standard form, you can solve this equation using the quadratic formula. You could even go back and factor this equation if you really want to. Because it doesn't tell us which way it needs to solve the equation, you solve it in whichever way is easiest for you. We can also use the square root method once we get to vertex form. But let's go ahead and get to vertex form. So we're going to need to isolate our variable terms in parentheses and find that unknown term, which is going to be our boxed term here, our squared term, which is b over 2 squared. So if I'm rewriting this, I've got x squared plus 6x plus my unknown. And since I'm adding my unknown to this equation, I also have to subtract it from the function. So on the outside of my parentheses, I'm going to subtract this unknown. Okay, let's solve for the unknown. Our b value is positive 6, so I'm going to say 6 divided by 2 squared. And remember, our b over 2 value is also our h value, so this is important to when we're converting it fully to vertex form. So 6 over 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So 9 is going to be plugged in as our unknown term, and we're going to vertex form. So we're going to have x plus this 3 value, which is our h value, squared, and then we're going to combine these terms, so we got 5 minus 9. That's going to be our k value on the outside of your parentheses, which is going to be negative 4. So down here, it asks for our vertex form, or at least I thought it did. Maybe it doesn't. That's okay. But we can still find our vertex from this. It's going to be negative hk. So in this case, it's going to be negative 3, comma negative 4. Okay, let's do the solutions for this. So since we already have it set up in vertex form, I'm going to use the square root method, so I'm going to set this equation equal to 0. I want to isolate my squared term, so in this case, my squared term is this x plus 3. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So now I have x plus 3 squared equals 4. At this point, we are going to implement the square root method by taking the radical of both sides. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. When we do that, we're left with x plus 3 on our left-hand side. And then going to the square roots of 4, if I'm trying to find both roots, I know 2 times 2 equals 4. So that's one of my roots. And then negative 2 multiplied by negative 2 also equals 4. So I can say that x plus 3 equals the positive or negative 2. At this point, we are not finished. We've got to fully find our solutions. So I'm going to break this equation into 2 equations to the side here. I'm going to have x plus 3 equals positive 2, and x plus 3 equals negative 2. Let's subtract 3 from each equation from both sides. 2 minus 3, x is going to equal negative 1 as my first solution. Then negative 2 minus 3, that means x is going to equal negative 5 as my second solution. So my 2 solutions are x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 5. These solutions are rational, and my x-intercepts are negative 1, 0 and negative 5, 0. Okay, let's go on to Problem 22, it says to fill in the blanks with either standard, vertex, or intercept form. So completing the square is converting from standard to, we just did it, that's going to be vertex form. Okay, box distributed and add is converting from vertex form to, well, that goes to standard form because you're expanding your whole equation into the ax squared plus bx plus c form, which is your standard form. Your y-intercept can be found in standard form. The vertex can be found in, you guessed it, vertex form. And then to solve by the quadratic formula, an equation must be written in standard form. You need those a, b, and c values, so that's standard form. Let's see here. And to solve by the square root method, your equations can be in either standard form, but it has to be a modified standard form, so it cannot have a b term, or it can be in vertex form.